of Dream Chasers versus GODSENT. Dream Chasers 1-0 up. It is GODSENT's map choice, and they will be going to bind. And yet again, we'll be attacking first. So we will keep up to date with that score as we are playing on. But just as we wait 60 seconds to get into game, just as a reminder, we have got a total prize pool of $3,000 available to the teams. First place gets $2,200. Second place, $500. And even third place comes away with $300. So you're the top 3 teams in Europe. You can get yourself a bit of cash, but there's some hefty teams out there. Not only today, we are just looking at Group A today, so that is going to be Dream Chasers and GODSENT, obviously. But at the same time, we have Hip's team, Hip, playing against worst players. So if I was to predict who would be going through to the quarterfinals, so the top 2 teams of this group will go through to the quarterfinals, which will happen in 2 or 3 weeks. As to be decided, I think, schedule-wise, just because of the awkward break because of the closed beta going down and then the game officially launching. How exciting is that? But I would say that Hip is going to come out on top in the groups. They just look a really good team. Second place, it could either be Dream Chasers, worst players, or even GODSENT. GODSENT not necessarily out of it just yet, but Dream Chasers versus worst players. Worst players, sorry. It's so difficult. Tongue twisters constantly. They will be playing at 2 p.m. BST, so that is going to be 3 p.m. Central European Time, Standard Time, and that's going to be an absolute whopper of a game. Closing out today with Dream Chasers versus Hip, which could be a really important game for both teams going forward. So we now get into game. We of course have the spectating bug, but one thing that I need to fix. So it says 1-0, but I can fix that very quickly. As we dial up the music. Dial down the music. Dial up the game. Milo's going to be playing Jet again. Makes sense. I've heard a few people, like Ardis from Fish123, mention how strong that could be. We are going to be watching the perspective of... Let's have a look. Let's go for Tiny Lady. Is a solo pushing onto the attack whilst they fix the top of this board that has the team scores the wrong way around, which is my mistake. Easy fix though. Ta-da! Just need to do it on the other side too, but so far it's going to be 3 versus 1. Dream Chasers now only down to the 1 person, and Alec here is going to clean it up nicely. GODSENT go 1-0 up, which in itself is quite a surprise. In regards to compositions, no surprises there really. Both teams pretty much running exactly what they run before. It's interesting to see GODSENT without the Cypher, who was what, like a 99% pick rate, maybe 90%. Sage just pretty much ran all of the time, but it goes without saying. I guess it is the whole idea of knowing that if you're attacking first, you're not going to have much use for the Cypher on the attack. It's only the defense, and if they can go without, then they should definitely try and go without, right? Makes sense. Now back into game. As obviously we see the gun's been bought on the side of GODSENT. You know they buy so much, but Devil Walk does go down very early. The 2 pushing through into toilets. But Sadrap is going to be holding fairly close. Decides to rotate to have a peeking as the rest of GODSENT start to move away. Of course, need to keep an eye on this flanker actually. Sad Dish is now playing the Phoenix actually, so even more of an aggressive lineup on this defense. But the rotation has sort of opened it up towards B. There's nobody there, so the plant's going to come in. And the teleporter is going to be Sadrapper. Emilio is following close behind, but Sadrapper goes low. Of course, having a heal means that he could just heal himself. Easy enough, but as you can see from the mini-map, GODSENT have this one on lockdown there enough. It's very slow. And Dream Chasers don't really have an awful lot of time to try and clear this one. As NCL drops out of hookah and then rotate towards the teleport to get out of there. Sad Rapper might try and flank to get a couple of kills. Catch him off guard, but no. NCL's going to keep a keen eye on that one. It's only going to be Emilio left that's around this corner. Manages to survive and even kills free. It's only NCL now, but Emilio is confirmed not to be able to grab a gun. As NCL, who was pretty much killless for the first half of the last game, is now top fragging, going 4-0. Shows that we all have those kind of games. And raise your hand if you've had a 0-kill game at a halftime before, in either this or Counter-Strike. I'm very much raising my hand. Happens to the best of us. It's part of the game. If you missed the first game, by the way, you can check out a recap from the spike.gg/events. You can see the EPULZE Valorant Prodigies. As finally we start to see Dream Chasers getting off the board. You can see who top fragged, who was looking good, who was looking not so good. Of course, the scores will be updated for all of the games streamed. Not necessarily sure if the games not streamed will be updated, but all teams are required to screenshot the final score of their game, so no doubt that's just a way that they can grab who top fragged and all that jazz. Who's going to be top killer. MVP so far of this game, though, we're sort of looking at him now, Emilio, who so far started off quiet but able to afford an operator. Gets Juju, but knows that NCL is there close too. Alakia tries to fire from distance, but only can do a couple of body shots, meaning that Emilio is now down to half health. They know that they're stuck there, and the rotation is going to come in rather aggressively. That's exactly where NCL was holding. Sad Dish able to line it up nicely. Goes 2-1 in favour of GODSENT, but Dream Chasers are off the board. Beautiful day today, by the way. I don't know how nice it is where you are, but I'm turned into a proper radio host. The time is literally midday now in Britain, but it's very warm. It's very windy too. And Emilio. An airbender, so to speak. Playing aggressively again with the operator. You were doing this with any other agent, you would be considered hard throwing, but Emilio, it's only soft throwing. No, because you can play this aggressively when you're playing Jet, and that's the spike, so that's a big force away. But the one problem that Dream Chasers now have is that there's people behind them. Because the rotation is going to come through, Catty's going to be met with this wall. Emilio's going to keep an eye behind, as that's where NCL is holding. The smoke's going to come through as the body shot coming in from NCL, so that's now dead. Now it's just going to be one left. It's going to be Catty that has to rotate all the way around. 27 health, so there isn't too much, but just to show how playing aggressively there can be a huge beneficial factor to how you want to play. Terrific. Absolutely dynamite so far from Emilio. You wouldn't expect Jet to be as good on this site, but I spoke to Ardis, who is one of the key people, I suppose, that has been playing Jet. An agent that people consider not very good. I don't know about you guys in chat, but where would you rate Jet in your tier list of agents? I think she has merits, but she's certainly not on the same level as your Brimstones, your Breach, your Cypher, your Sage. Nowhere near that kind of level when it comes to utility you can provide to your teammates. But Emilio is showing exactly how playing her this aggressively is so good, because you can hold this angle. If you get rushed, you could just dash out of there. Instead of using your aggressive abilities to engage in on the target and dive them, you're in fact basically saying, I'm going to do the distance and use those abilities to disengage aggressively. Ball is going to be used by Catty, as Hookah is pretty much given up entirely, but there is a camera in that top corner. Emilio is punished for playing aggressively for seemingly the first time. Kicker's keeping an eye on this doorway. There is a breach in this right-hand corner, but the aftershock is going to push him away a little bit. The Cyber Cage is used to give himself a bit of distance, but Resurrect now coming in from NCL, who's all the way over here. Spike is too. And Sad Rapper now inheriting Emilio's operators, making sure that nobody's going to push on top of it. Misses up the shot, but that orbital strike is going to allow a way for GODSENT to start pushing in. Sad Rapper does get the kill onto Alikia, but Catty can trade. Starts to push into U-Haul. Juju's got to keep an eye behind. Fortunately, we know that nobody is there. That's going to be an ultimate coming out of Tiny Lady, who puts that one to bed. Struggled to find her perspective, but we got there in the end. And not only did we see GODSENT lead from the beginning of this game, but they're able to keep the lead in some of these really close rounds. Fortunately for DREAMCHASERS, they can afford to buy next. So this defense should be fairly straightforward. In regards to stats, there is a brilliant video from a guy called Anders talking about map biases. And it's actually... What do you think bind is? First of all, I'll raise the question. Do you think bind is attack or defended sided? I will tell you the answer to this question at the start of the next round, because Tiny Lady is going to hold. Emilio has switched sides. He's over on the B site now, trying to switch things up. Still has the operator, of course. We're sort of used to seeing this etched into my monitor at this point. But a lot of ruckus is made. This kicker on the Cypher is able to show exactly why he's played on the site so often, but his position is given up by the recon bolt. Manages to escape from all of the wall bangs. Is very low on health though, as you can see. So the Cyber Cage is used to mask exactly where he's holding. He actually placed on 2. Make sure that he could buy more time on this angle. Actually kind of smart. I haven't seen anybody really do that too much yet, but might be worth considering. Because the breach on this side is good. Like holding into Hookah. Devil Walker's just trying to tag whoever they can towards that site. Doesn't hit the breach at all. Alakia does get a nice wall bang onto Kicker. But needs to watch Emilio, who's actually running away. He's not even like looking in that direction. Didn't expect Alakia to play that aggressively. But now it's down to a Phoenix, Zadish, who we haven't really had a look at too much, who's actually going to flock in right behind where Juju is holding, but they're no doubt holding this angle for a particular reason, so might catch them off quite easily, but Zaj is aware that that could be an angle, and being able to peek that aggressively is certainly beneficial in that favour. Decides to curveball out and even use his hot hands in the corner, but there's people around every angle. Needs the help from his teammate that is now unsmoked, but Devil Walk is taken out by Catty around this angle. He could do exactly the same onto Zadish, who just didn't check it. The communication not coming in at the last second. His lead is starting to build for GODSENT, and they must be feeling pretty good about themselves. DREAMCHASERS are letting this one slide. I can see this going to a best of 3. The answer to the question, by the way, on if this map is attack or defended-sided, it's attack-sided. Not by a huge amount, though. I think split stats where it's 16% defender-sided. As in, if you're like counting all of the rounds, like 2,000 rounds on each of these maps, the defense tends to win 16% more. On bind, it's 5% more for the attacking side. But it also does depend on what lineup you're running to. So I do recommend checking out the Anders video. Nothing to do with me. It's just something that I saw that if you are interested in the esports scene, which, to be honest, you are. You're here, right? Great way to keep it up to date to how agents are played and how popular they are and what kind of comps to run, but saying that, for all of this, GODSENT has really struggled to actually get much done, as they're now in the 2 versus 3. NCL is a nice off angle, it does get a kill to Kicker, but wasn't expecting Zaj to follow up in that fashion. Curveball's going to come through, and is going to actually flash Catty, who did try their best to face away. The defuse coming in as we get to 4-3. Are there any particular teams that you guys are excited to see this weekend? Or just throughout the whole tournament, of course. Because it's stacked. There's a lot of big teams in this tournament. Fish 1-2-3 considered one of the best teams in Europe. Prodigy. Remains to be seen what lineup Prodigy are running, but no doubt Screaming Mixwell are going to be there, so pretty strong. Hips team, Ninjas in Pajamas. All for Revive, that $3,000 prize pool. These teams are looking for that too. Zaj is going to use to run it back and is able to sort of follow up the kicker. They're chasing down where Catty is on the Sova. It's a hunted party. She is able to get a kill into Amelia, who is a very aggro player, but the spike is lost in a really awkward position. Catty and NCL are able to try and take this engagement, but there's somebody really close there. Zaj goes down in a trade. Sad Rapper is able to clean up as the scores. Now go back to being even. Economy is going to be important here, as it's looking like NCL could buy from the skin of their teeth. Might be a case of force, but Alaki is still holding on to that Vandal. More's been bought. Yeah, it's going to be a case of force, so this is a big gamble on the attacking side of Godsend. Just buy what they can. Spectres, Bulldogs, 3 Vandals. Probably without some forms of utility too. Catty goes down very early. Probably didn't have too much there, but Juju's the same. Every time we spectate one of these Godsend players, they are getting flocked down, and the spike again is lost. Alakia and Tiny Lady pushing around B long, sorry. But now they have to sort of double around and go towards Hookah. Could have awkwardly been tripped up, Could have awkwardly been tripped up by some of these tripwires, which are very elaborately placed. But that clump is going to be heard. And Sage is looking in that direction. Sad Rapper is... You keep an eye on that. Rico Bolt is going to give them up even more. That flash is good. The Sad Rapper is going to be melted down, but Devil Walk is able to get the double kill. And for the first time in Bind, we see Dream Chasers take the lead. That lead might have another round added to it, because of course we saw Godsend forcing that round. Still having money, so they try to do it again. NCL is eager, having a much better game on Bind than they did on Haven. Some things are staying the same, as Emilio is still top fragging on this jet. Ultra an interesting one though. Neural Theft is available on the defending side, as is the Resurrect, but look at that. All 5 ultimates available on this attack. Pan Lady again having their showstopper. I'm expecting it now, but Devil Walk takes out NCL. That means that a Resurrect's not going to be available. Neither is the Orbital Strikers. Juju goes down 2. Tiny Lady with the Sheriff. Actually, it's probably wise that Godsend don't spend anything, but Devil Walk was not necessarily expected. Tiny Lady, the double glance, like the huh? Gets taken out. There's only going to be one left, and that's going to be Catty, who's using the wall to try and get out to sight. Would be great to get the plant down, even for just the extra change, but instead going to take the engagement, but peak 2 aggressive angles at once, angles that Dream Chasers were holding on. And eventually, this economy on the side of Godsend, this bubble is going to burst, but not necessarily just yet. NCL did die very early, which was unfortunate. Maybe has to rely on a team to buy her again, as Tiny Lady, Alakia are all saved. 5 ultimates available on this attacking side. You would expect them to try and use them all in a way that allows them to even just get onto the site, but instead it starts with a boombot that shows that Emilio is close, but it doesn't necessarily say the Sad Rapper's there too. Emilio got sort of really dashing peak, but is traded from Alakia. Meanwhile on B, Kicker takes an engagement with Catty, who has now opened up this B side, but isn't expecting Zaj on this left-hand side. In fact, he's being chased, but isn't aware of it. That he's that close. He's just going to rope around the corner. That's where the spike is. So now it's only Catty alive. And she's even looking in this direction, but now Zaj gives it away. Doesn't matter though. Able to follow up on the kill. Catty goes down. And Godsend started off with a lead and looked really strong. Now, even when they're sort of buying as much as they can, and with 5 ultimates, they're struggling to make anything happen. The first 10 seconds of these rounds is really detrimental for them. Like, they're really struggling to do much at all. But now we go into the penultimate round. The last round before we swap. We'll see if they can do much more here. An orbital strike used pretty much straight away from the attackers. Sarge, now it's actually GODSENT to have all 5 of their ultimates. Pretty much all 9 of these ults want to get used now. 8, sorry. A Sandrapper, I always keep calling him Sandpeeper. Sadrapper pushes through. Now Breach ultimate coming out of Alekia. The Devil War from distance is able to get that frag. Tiny Lady is stunned by the Breach. Nice jump up, gets a kill onto Emilio, but Kicker from distance yet again is now hopped down. He's going to fight close with the Sheriff, but everybody's dead. A real waste. Bit of BM too. He might actually die before the defuse comes in now. Not necessarily, but worth keeping an eye on. 8-4, that slipped out of GODSENT's hands. There was a lot of misplays there, a lot of ultimates used, but here are the halftime stats. Kazi again is having a really good game. Again, top fragging for their team, and Emilio is leading the line. How many ultimates did we not see used then? 6, 7? But of course the scores are mixed around yet again, so we'll do our favourite fix. And I'm going to drop out the map because the transition button is the same as my free cam one, so I'm going to have to change that in the break. The next match will be commencing in an hour 45. Regardless of whether this match ends now or goes to a best of 3, will be a tournament sticking to the schedule. And you can check all of that, I believe, with some commands in Twitch chat if a moderator could be so gracious to show me them. Of course, I'm not necessarily looking, but Emilio starts the round off with a nice kill onto the Frenzy. Hasn't really bought anything other than armor and a Frenzy, so he's played close, isn't relying on any abilities, and has already used a dash. So the rest, this attacking side, are now starting to push onto the site, holding U-Haul where there isn't actually anybody. You can actually sort of see exactly where everybody is, but NCL are just holding off site. Tiny Lady throwing in the paint shell. Trying to hold off 2 people in a U-Haul. Tiny Lady is able to get the kill, but that's the trade. NCL is on this site, is holding it. Nobody in toilets. Both of the remaining members of Dream Chasers are towards mid and backing off, so the defuse can come in safely. NCL is going to dedicate to it. Emilio has to try and push and do something. But Alekia is going to clean up nicely. It's got to start off the round on this defense. And the scores are 8-5. Of course, these games are best of 3. Dream Chasers are 1-0 up. They won Haven. If you want to check all the stats for that game, see how your favourite players on either of these teams did. Spike.gg/events. You should see EPULZE Prodigy. Valorant Prodigies, sorry. You should be able to see exactly how everybody did. And of course, as the tournament progresses, we'll be able to see who's top fragging, who's the most dangerous on particular agents. Great way for scouting out talent if you are an organisation looking to sign up a few of these players. EU is looking very promising as a scene. Doesn't get a lot of love. NA is often the one that gets the attention, but both these teams showing us that EU can be good. EU can be strong. The Dream Chasers are pushing in very aggressively to the point that Devil Walk is caught out, holding a bit too close, but Zadish is going to keep an eye on, gets healed, so he's going to wait around this corner. Curveball, where he's going to see NCL, who's completely flashed. Plays that up. Surprising fashion considering they lost a pistol round. We're able to do a good chunk of damage to be able to afford a couple of Spectres. Maybe weren't necessarily buying abilities or even armor, but that's no doubt completely ruined the economy of GODSENT. After we cut this one. We'll be following Dream Chasers for the rest of today to show off all of the teams playing, of course. Naturally, one team is going to get a lot more airtime, but we will see them playing against worse players at 3 PM CEST. And a little later on, about 6 PM CEST, we'll see them facing up against Hip, who are a very infamous team now at this point. It's Adish just clears through the B side. That's not even the side that they're pushing, but the rest is going to eat on it. Any criticism of the spectating, by the way, chat, I'm all ears. I am not one of those people that takes myself too seriously. But this is me very much being a one-man band. You know, I'm used to just casting. Not used to observing, producing, writing the theme tune, singing the theme tune. That's not the kind of guy that I am, but I do have a degree in professional broadcast techniques, so it's nice to put all of that to use. Recon ball doesn't necessarily catch anybody. Awkwardly placed. Worth bearing in mind if you're looking back at this GODSENT. That doesn't line up. But Juju is nice getting a kill, but doesn't move, so Zadgis can follow up and nice connection onto 2 players, and it's going to hold close. Catty goes down. Of course, run it back enables you to have that second life in case you go down, so that's why Zadge was playing so aggressive, but to be honest, I feel he'd be doing that anyway. Doesn't benefit from the healing of Hot Hands, but he's going to run into the breach here. Likia clears him out quickly, nicely, but the B site is the one that's hit. It's only going to be the last surviving member. The breach. Alikia? Might need your help on that one, chat. Could be a lot of names that might be awkward to pronounce, but regardless, it's a 1 versus 2. Fault line is going to come across. The free health, so they're so low, but Sad Rapper holds a nice angle. I believe that's safe. The name of the actual name of the player. Not saying not having the best time, but team of experience from different games like Apex, I don't think necessarily Counter-Strike. There might be a couple of the players that are from that background, but I know there is an article actually from the Spike.gg that goes over that, so maybe we can have a look at that in the break, but they've left the Spike actually. So GODSENT have pushed aggressively and now have folded a Spike. Even I didn't notice. It was only the thing in the top left, bottom left even, that gave it away. So now the rotation coming in. NCL is going to hold on this angle. But has given him away, obviously, with a slow orb. The Tiny Lady is able to get the kill onto 2 of them. Kicking Devil Walk go down. It's now going to be Zadjish that fights Juju in this angle, but it isn't necessarily going to work. Luckily, Sad Rapper does get the kill to Alikia, but isn't joined by Amelia, who is so far away now. Gotta use the ultimate, actually. He's so far away on the other side and has to kill everybody in 37 seconds. I'll get the plan. It's going to be a fortress here. This will be used in frag movies forever if he does stuff here. Might even make it to Reddit. Who knows? But he's making so much noise with the floating that your cat is just going to shut that one down. A negative side of Jet for sure, that she is so damn loud. All of her abilities are really loud. You know when she's dashing, you know when she's updrafting. As a reminder, the devs are looking to buffer in some capacity. Looking at it, not necessarily dedicating. That's just from my background in following that news, I suppose, but this game is a lot closer though. Kind of an expected result, I'd say the Dreamchasers would win this out 2-0, and that's not a discredit to GODSENT, who honestly have played a lot better and show a lot more promise than I may have initially given them credit for. And when you're playing against some of these like ex-Counter-Strike players or veterans of a game like that, it hurts and it shows, and the confidence of Dreamchasers now to barrel through these sides, but they didn't look like this early on in this game, that's to say the least. But Zadge is now going to fight Tiny Lady, who's the last one left, and has a position given away. We go on to match point now for Dreamchasers, not only for this game, but for not only for this map, sorry, but as the game as a whole. I'll try and keep you updated as well on the other game that's happening currently, Hip 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 versus Worst Players. Would be surprised to see if worst players could get much done there. Much like Dream Chasers, as far as I'm concerned, both of these teams are to be decided. Could be top 10 within the EU, could be even top 5, but we haven't seen enough of them yet. Dream Chasers unable to do too much at the moment. I think they came second in a tournament this week, losing out to Absolute Legends if I remember correctly. So Resurrect coming in, has to from GODSENT now. Zaj kills Licky, who does kill said rapper in kind. The tiny lady, actually from another site, dedicates to Showstopper. You can see how forced this is with economy. Or at least for tiny lady, at least Catty and NC are able to have full armor and the guns of their choice. But they aren't expecting Zaj to push behind them completely. In another engagement, the spike is headed towards... tiny lady gets caught out on the rotation. Devil Walk is gonna rotate towards C long, B long. I keep calling it C long. And Catty gets taken out from distance from Emilio. So this site, it's now up to NCL. Last player alive to try and keep GODSENT in this game. Of course, if they lose it, they have other opportunities to qualify for the quarterfinals of this tournament. By playing up against HIP and worse players later on in the day. Makes it 1 versus 2, but Devil Walk is going to shut that one down. Dream Chasers got 2-0 up. We'll be winning this one, not only on Bind, but on Haven. Very good game. Both teams shown promise. Obviously, Dream Chasers a lot more than GODSENT, but am I looking at either of these teams and going, oh, yep, they're going to win the EPULZE, Valorant, Prodigies tournament? And I'm not too sure yet. Dream Chasers showing elements of being strong and weak, having clear weaknesses that were exploited by GODSENT, but very much a GG. You can sort of see the frags. This time Zaj playing on the Phoenix, fragging the same amount of Emilio. If I was to sort of name an MVP for this game, it would be Emilio, not only for top fragging on this team, but using the Jet in a pretty interesting fashion. In regards to the rest of the day, though, let's put on some nice music. Hopefully that's not too loud. So what did we learn? The Dream Chasers are a team that is looking to qualify for their group. They still have to get through worst players. They still need to get through HIP, which we will be broadcasting all of those games on this channel today. So we will be following a Prodigy team. Not the actual Prodigy team, but a team that is looking to try and do something and make their way up. But this tournament is stacked. I'm telling you, you have Fish 1, 2, 3 in here. You have Nip. But just to sort of go over this weekend. So today is on the Group A. So that's Dream Chasers, GODSENT, HIP, and Worst Players. Tomorrow is going to be Group B, where we have Fish 1, 2, 3. We have Absolute Legends. We have Valorando. All of those have won tournaments in the past. Trauma were meant to play, but I don't think they are anymore. So to be decided on who's going to be filling out that slot, but that is a stacked table of teams. Group C, which will be happening in 2 weeks' time, is going to be Avengers, Everybody Dance, Ninjas in Pyjamas, and Party Parrots that used to be Reserve. Group D, Royals, Prodigy, Fabrican, and Too Good for LAN. There are a lot of teams here that have a good background so far. I'd say the top 10 teams in Europe are in this tournament. It's stacked. Very scary if you're some of these younger, newer teams like we've just seen Dream Chasers be. There's a big ask for you to do stuff there. But that's going to be it for now. The next match is going to be in about an hour and a half. And that's going to be Worst Players versus the team that we just saw, Dream Chasers, the team that we just saw won. So we will try and update you on the scores. I'll try and do that now whilst we're having a quick look. Yeah, Worst Players actually won against HIP. That's pretty scary. That's actually really surprising. Like, HIP are a team that I consider to be top 5 in the EU scene. I just want to double check that to see if that is right, because that is a pretty spectacular win so far. I don't know if that's pushing on. I'll double check. I'll get back to you on that one. Let's look at the way that's going to be. Of course, if you want to keep up to date with all of these scores, you can go to the spike.gg that is supporting this tournament, by the way. You can go to events, which is the top tab, or the spike.gg/events. There you should see the EPULZE Valorant Prodigies tournament. You can click on watch if you want to go and watch it. You can see the overview of the teams, you can see the matches, results. We'll probably have like graphics and stuff like this to show it off some other time, but fortunately we don't have those available today. But as somebody that likes going to websites like HLTV to keep up to date with Counter-Strike stuff, this is everything I'd very much want to see out of something similar to Valorant. There's some really good articles on there keeping you up to date to team organisation signage and just general news in the esports scene. So if you want to be one of those wisecracking people that was like, yes, I watched the EU Valorant scene very early on when Fish123 was still called Fish123, you'll be able to do that. But thank you very much for everybody that's tuning in. Keeping an eye on Twitch chat as well. Of course, there is a bit of a delay because it's a tournament, but nevertheless, we will be heading to a pretty long break, if I'm being honest, but in about 90 minutes, we'll see the next game. I think currently, worst players are one map up. They haven't won the game overall against Hip, but they have won the first map, so we'll keep you up to date on that. Keep an eye on the Twitter, which I think will be... I just want to double check I'm getting this one right, because I don't want to put you to the wrong one. At EPULZE Gaming will be the Twitter page, sorry, to keep you up to date with all that. This is my job, by the way. Just stumbling over my words, but yeah, today's going to be a really interesting one. This group could be all over the place. I was expecting Hip to be like, win all of their games, to beat worst players, to beat GODSENT, to beat DREAMCHASERS, as we saw. Then in second place, either the three teams. Now I'm leaning towards DREAMCHASERS versus worst players, which is the next match coming up. I think whoever wins that will be very much going through to the quarterfinals. So it's 4 groups. The top two teams of each of the groups will be seeded into a quarterfinals. And it's a best of 3 elimination bracket, typical to tournaments. We should have the final in a couple of weeks. But like I said, you have teams like Fish123, like Fabricant, which are looking really strong. Royals, again, looking really good. Ninjas in Pajamas, and of course, Prodigy, very exciting team to watch, but I'd probably recommend... Oh, actually, no, not playing today, never mind. Keep up to date with the scores, but that's the best way to keep up to date with everything that's going on currently. So, the spike.gg/events, and you should see the EPULZE Valorant Prodigies thing, but I'm going to go for a quick break, go get some food, go enjoy the nice weather for a bit. I would recommend that you don't go anywhere, keep the stream on in the background or something, and have some nice music playing, hopefully, if you're into that kind of thing. But thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for all of the support and stuff, for keeping an eye on. As we do see DREAMCHASERS going 2-0 up. They win this map. We'll be following up with DREAMCHASERS versus worst players in not too long, so don't go anywhere.